was in the final stages where it would be very likely that she'd go into respiratory failure. I was told that the ICU were prepared to look after her if she went into a coma. We should be very prepared for that. I really couldn't bear to go to bed that night, as I didn't know if I'd ever hear her back in that house. In hindsight, looking back, there were signs. Things like over-boisterous behaviour, over-excitable, bordering on just being really daft and silly. It escalated into very bizarre behaviour, becoming totally psychotic.
So during that period as well, for about 6 weeks, I've got no memory at all of any of this bizarre behaviour, have I?
When I had phone calls come home from work, Lucy had a massive seizure at home with her dad. Turned very blue, blood and foam coming from her mouth. And from there, that escalated over about 4 or 5 days, bringing grave concern, which is when the mental health team brought the crisis team in and started treating her not just with anti-seizure drugs but antipsychotics. Screaming, ripping at her hair, trying to bang her head, screaming that she wanted it to stop, somebody make it stop, making death threats if it didn't stop. She since told me, which was very sad, of her plans that she'd been making for suicide because she didn't want to live any longer. Finally, after a couple of different brain scans, Lucy's file went to a neurologist in Carmarthen who recognised the psychiatric symptoms from a previous patient a couple of years before. So finally, after 6 weeks of hell at home and trying to control the situation and trying to prevent the mental health services from sectioning Lucy on the secure psychiatric unit, we got a phone call from the GP to say he had had a blood result back and it was NMDA encephalitis. He said he had never heard of it. As 80% of medics apparently don't. There's a lot of these cases that have gone into psychiatric units when what they're suffering from is something clinical and undiagnosed, not psychiatric at all. People are going into comas and actually dying of heart failure. That's what happens.
Really, that's where the problem is. If it's diagnosed early because the symptoms are recognised, people's brains won't be so damaged and they might not have to live like me. So because my memory is never going to improve more than what it has, that's just my way of life now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, things like you could be walking down the road with her and she will step out in front of the traffic because the brain is struggling to make connections.
So I'm on 24 tablets a day. This side of my body, I get involuntary movements in my neck, my arm, my leg, my hands, don't I?
So we're going into what you consider to be everyday situations that you wouldn't normally give a thought, and you're realising that you've got a little bit of a problem going on here, which Lucy always says nothing is a problem.
No, it's
she'll just find a way around it.
I've been in the newspapers and magazines and on the radio, but they're not quite getting the point across as I want to, because they all seem to be focusing on the hallucinations and all the stuff that looks interesting, but not what the actual problem is. I think with things like this, it either makes you or breaks you. Everyone thinks I'm mad because I keep saying that I'm glad that it happened to me, and everyone can't understand why. It's just made me realise that I could get so much more out of life, and you should treasure every moment that you live. So little people know about it, so they don't get any help. And their charity actually runs off less than £1 million a year, which is nothing, is it? And my aim is to make sure that the charities are recognised as like cancer research and all the big ones out there. And it's just made me want to raise so much awareness and money so that this doesn't happen to people.
What Lucy's saying about her experiences and the problems that she's been left with, well, this is your call, the positive B.
Well, I just think it's made me realise that it's just so important to treasure every moment of your life, because it is.